you'd think that they would want to like change that, like with the leadership, or at least, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. Like, there's only so many directions any leader can focus, and in my opinion, obviously, what our leader is focusing on is not what I care about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Has this driven you to like start thinking about like leaving now and like picking up and like figuring out like a different location to like start
definitely
working from?
That's, I mean, the whole US investing journey in the first place started because I wanted to have an option to leave just in case I didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So the self-storage investing in the States was a gateway towards my E2 visa. And I got my E2 visa and my social security number in the States and everything like that for myself, my wife, and my daughter. So if we need that, we have it.
Yeah.
We can go stay there for 5 years if we wanted to.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So, and then I also have like other countries as well. So like just in case, we have options. And that's what I wanted, just like that freedom.
Yeah.
So
is that something that like you like really emphasize, was having options? Like,
I just like options in general. Because when you like, I'll give you another example just to relate it back to like real estate and finances and everything like that. Again, you can only get credit when you have good credit. You know, you can get options when you don't need the options. When you need the options and don't have options, you're fucked.
true.
So, you know, I'd rather just have them now, just in case, and not need them. But if I do need them, I don't have them.
Yeah.
You know, what the hell did I do all this for?
Yeah. And was that always like in your mind, or was that something like, especially after COVID, like when we found out that
it was like a bunch of COVID stuff that really pissed me off, that made me focus on just having those exit strategies if I needed them. Like my whole family's here pretty much, right? So it's not an easy decision, or not an easy just like up and leave. But I just wanted that option just in case I needed it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Was this like anything brought up to you like growing up, like that these are options we have to create for ourselves, or?
No, I mean my family was an immigrant family, right? Like leaving Canada wasn't really a thing that we talked about as soon as we came here. You know, like
how do we get to Canada?
Yeah, is the only thing, and then
that was everything. And then once we're here, like, but the difference is like the Canada I knew growing up is not the Canada we have now.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's a very different Canada. And like I never thought I'd want to leave until more recently, right? So the discussion of leaving Canada in general was not a real thing until the last couple of 3 years, maybe. So yeah, growing up it wasn't like that.
Yeah. David, are we recording?
Yo!
Nerds. Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, I just want to make sure because we're getting juicy.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna do this real quick over here, and then then
we'll jump into it. But yeah, no, that's interesting. Like, COVID definitely, you know, pushed a lot of Canadians out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the memes that I saw, it was like Florida's top realtor, and it's a picture of Doug Ford.
Yeah. You should be getting some commission from all that.
Dude. So that's wild, but it is what it is. And that's what it just came down to. It's like, if I do this, then I can potentially have this exit if I need to. Like, it wasn't like a high risk to me where, you know, my accounts were going to get frozen because I donated some trucker rally.
You went to the
like
trucker rally,
anything like that. I wasn't worried about any of that stuff necessarily. But when the rhetoric and language like started becoming more aggressive against, in my opinion, pretty middle or slightly conservative people, I was like, do I like, why am I fighting this anymore? Like another example with the project that I was working on in London, I was trying to develop these two buildings side by side, tear it down and build like a 30-unit building.
Wow. Okay.
And it was going to have a commercial main floor and like just residential up top.
Any location?
Just like Wellington, like down here.
Okay.
Like not far from here.
Yeah.
Wellington-ish, London. Not too far from the downtown core on the rapid transit corridor.
Yeah.
So one of the concessions that I was given for that was that I don't need parking because it's on the rapid transit corridor, which is great because otherwise you need like 1.5 parking spots per unit or something like that. So they said no parking, which was fantastic. And everything was going well. We went through pre-planning and everything seemed to be going well until there was a counselor that asked for low-income housing. And I was like, all right, like how many units? And it wasn't that many units, maybe 10%, okay. Like, 3 to 5 units, something like that. Wasn't that crazy? But it was like for a 25-year lease or something like that, which was like, how am I ever going to make money on this thing?
Yeah.
And like, I just straight up said, no, like I can't do that. And all of a sudden I started getting all these random like requests for different permits and random different, now I need a shadow study. Now I need this, now I need that. And it was like out of nowhere, all of these things started coming. And maybe it's my ignorance and the timing was just like coincidental, but it seemed to be like right after that no came up. Which was kind of sketch. And then I ended up just selling the properties as they were, rather than tearing them down and developing and focusing my efforts elsewhere where people seem to want the work to be done. So it's very interesting, especially like you said, like once you said no, it's like the tide shift.
Yeah, they change on you.
It was a hard shift.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's a coincidence and it's just my ignorance on the development process, and that's just where the stage was. But it seemed like I don't really believe in coincidences like that.
Yeah, especially when they're kind of obvious. And yeah.
And as you've like kept trying to develop more, now you have to like speak more with like politicians or like at least the legal board, right?
Yeah, it's a very different game than just flipping a house or doing a quick burr on a duplex, or even if you're doing a duplex conversion where you have to deal with the building and permit departments and stuff like that. There's a whole other level where you might call the mayor, or you might call the deputy mayor, or you might call someone very close to that level where you have to make sure that you're in line with their vision and their plans. It isn't necessarily just like a guy like you and me working in mid-level management, or below, just like stamping papers or doing some regular engineering. There's like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 50-year plan for the city, and what this building has to fall into that plan. Yeah. But it also has to fall into the current
social like norm and
social
like
norms as well. So it's trickier. It's different.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was ready for that.
Yeah.
It's where I was at my stage of growth, and it just pissed me off and I didn't want to do it. So.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I guess like I want to take it back into like your engineering. You know what I mean? Like how you started and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, like a little bit of everything about you.
Yeah, for sure. Right? No worries. Yeah, I was working as an engineer for about 5-6 years. When I first started engineering, I mean, that was all I knew, all I was supposed to do. From the age of 15 to the age of 30, basically, like I was an engineer. And prior to that, I was going to be an engineer. So it was hard to leave when I ended up actually leaving. But my initial goal with all this real estate stuff was literally just have someone pay for my car. Like I didn't, that's all. I want to move out of my mom's basement. I want someone to pay for my car. That was like the only thing in my head, because it just seemed like kind of cool to me.
Yeah.
And one of my friends was living in the basement at the time, and I was living upstairs of this single family home that I had just bought after finishing school. And then as I was about to get the car that I had really wanted, she left. She moved out. And I was like, fuck, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
She was supposed to pay for this car that I was about to get.
Yeah.
And I, at the same time, got taken to this real estate conference. I still remember, it was April 27th, 28th in 2019. And that weekend changed my life. It was insane. Like I heard people talking about BRRRRs and refis and HELOCs and Airbnb and short-term rentals outside of Airbnb and doing all this stuff that I never even knew was possible. And like I didn't even know this was a real world. Like you're in your little bubble of work, go home, do that for 50 years and retire. And like that's what I was.
Yeah.
And that weekend, so the 28th was like I think the Sunday, and I went home that night, and like the girl in the basement already moved out. I took all my shit and I just put in garbage bags and I threw it down the stairs. And I'm like, all right, the upstairs gonna be an Airbnb.
No
I had no
way.
idea what the hell I was doing.
Okay.
I didn't even have the listing yet. Anyways, took some pictures on my phone.
Yeah.
Just stupid. Took some pictures on my phone, threw it up on Airbnb. That was like Monday, Tuesday. Thursday, I had my first booking. They were staying for a month. I didn't have towels. I didn't have plates. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything. And I'm messaging them like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just tell me, like, please give me a good review. Just tell me because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm downstairs though. So like if anything goes wrong, just let me know.
Yeah.
And then I just started renovating the basement to convert that property to secondary dwelling. And it took me about 6 months to do.
Okay.
So I was done that by around October to December, somewhere like that. And that's when I started the refinance on that property. And I bought that property for $245 in 2015, roughly. And I refinanced that in 2020, January 2020, for like $560.
Damn.
Yeah, wow.
Congrats on that one.
And I guess what caused that urgency? Because, you know, like you're an engineer, which is a very respectable like job and industry and career, right? So like a lot of people are like happy in there. Like what caused that urgency to like, okay, I got to do something?
It seemed wasteful to not.
Okay.
That's it. Like it seemed like a waste of space, a waste of potential, a waste of not doing it. Like I'd seen what other people had achieved and stuff. And to be honest, like some of the people that are saying like, oh, I did this. I was like, this guy's dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
How did this guy do it? And why am I not? Like that was honestly, it's kind of rude to say that, but
It's
like that's
true,
what
though.
it felt like.
But it's a form of motivation also in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, however you want to take it. I
Yeah.
maybe I was just being an asshole. That is what it is. But I looked at that guy, whoever that guy was, and like if he can do it, like I can for sure do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And even if it's not even as good on my first try, if he can do it, I know I can do it.
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I'll figure it out.
That was enough for me to try.
Yeah.
But then, you know, the refi check came in and it's 2 years of my salary.
Yeah.
So I was like, shit, man. Like I did this part-time after work while working, you know, like it's not even my full-time thing. And I just made 2 years worth of my salary in 6 months. So like 4x my income because it's a refinance, it's still debt, but 4x that. And why should I not do it again? How can I ignore this? Then I took that money and I bought a few other properties, like down payments on a few others. Stuff was much cheaper back then.
Yeah. Perfect timing, right?
It was decent timing. So that was January 2020. So February 2020, February 18th, 2020, I bought my first rental property, like outside of my primary residence. And March and June, I bought two others and just repeated, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty like aggressive growth in a short period of time.
That year was aggressive.
Yeah.
That year, I added 25 buildings to my name.
Wow.
Were
In
you-
1 year. Jeez.
Were you always like money savvy? Were you like always saving money from like the
I was
beginning
good
of
with
like
money.
Yeah?
Yeah, my mom always taught me like save a third of whatever you make,
Okay.
spend a third, and then the other third, like save it for like the next thing that you want. So like a third is always long-term savings. A third is like short-term savings, and then a third just blow it so you don't look at the other 2/3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like that's how I was raised, and she was really good about teaching me like that type of thing with money. But you know, I didn't know what a corporation was. I didn't know any about the tax stuff. I didn't know that like the kind of more savvy side of the money. I just knew to save, and I was responsible with my money. I didn't really, you know, I was relatively frugal. I like nice food and that type of stuff, but for the most part, I wanted to have certain things. So I was willing to sacrifice today for that thing, as long as I got that thing. Yeah. So this kind of fit in well with that kind of mindset as well.
Yeah. And like I guess like the peers around you at that time, right? Like were they like, you're crazy? Like did you have to let go of some people?
Always,
like,
dude.
Yeah.
Always. That, I mean, it's part of the game. And now they don't call me crazy anymore, right?
Yeah.
But I was driving a 2009 Chevy Cobalt, no bumper, you know, or some shitty bumper, whatever. I don't know. It wasn't amazing. It was good. But at that point, you know, that was from 2015 to 2018. I was driving that car, and you know, I was making decent salaries, working a good job, and all my friends they have all brand new whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, why don't you just get something else? Like, this is such a shitty car. I was like, dude, it doesn't matter because I'm going to get the car I want. I want the Tesla Model 3. It's coming out 2018. That's what I want. I don't care. In the meantime, I don't care. Anything goes until then. And, you know, then I got it. And of course it was worth the wait, but,
yeah,
it is what it is. You know,
Yeah.
like in the meantime, it doesn't matter to me.
And how did you feel when you got that car for the first time?
It was weird. So like for that entire period of time, I was saving or like making the payments for the car into a separate account just to like practice, I guess, making sure that I could afford it properly.
Yeah.
And by the time it was time to buy the car, I could buy it in cash. But then I had started, because I had become more savvy with money at that point. And like, you know, talking to my parents who don't like debt, I was raised to fear debt in general. And then talking to my investment peers where debt is your friend. So then, you know, I have a good team that I can call and say, hey, I want to buy this car. How do I do it properly so that it's the most tax efficient now? And at that point, you know, I just started learning about corporations and everything like that. So I was able to buy it in my personal name, lease it out to my corp, and leverage it in a tax advantage way. That was really useful. So I did not buy it in cash.
And were you always like people savvy? Because like a lot of engineers are just about the numbers. You know, you talk to them and they can't really be like social, right?
Introverts.
Like, were you always like that? Or is that something you had to break out of your comfort zone with?
No, I feel like I was on that side more than the engineering side. I did the math because I had to do the math, but I always liked what the math could do, and what the math could solve rather than the math itself. So I felt like I was always the guy that was able to talk to the guy with his head in the computer or like designing CAD or anything like that and relate to him in a way and pull those ideas out of him in a really effective way and then sell those ideas.
Yeah.
And like, so business development or some sort of liaison role was always where I did really well.
Yeah.
In school, you know, my first semester I did horribly. I had no study skills coming out of high school. Pretty typical, you know, like you have high marks in high school, but no study skills because it's relatively easy. And then you go to university and you're getting like 50s and 60s and you're like, am I even smart enough to be here? Like, it's so embarrassing. But then, you know, I graduated with decent marks and everything like that, but it was never what I enjoyed. Like, it was always, how can I use this whatever to do something cool?
Yeah.
And it's the same with this real estate stuff. Like, you have to know how to do the numbers. You have to know the implications of, you know, taking other people's money and being responsible with it. But at the end of the day, you want to do something cool with it. And you just need to be responsible in doing that.
And you had gone to Waterloo, right? Which is one of the more prestigious engineering schools, correct?
I mean, I don't know about the prestigious, but it was, for me, it was my only option because I had co-op there. And co-op was the only way I could afford school. So there was no plan B.
Yeah.
It was go there, get a job with co-op to pay for the next semester. Is always one semester
and plan ahead kind of idea. So what was your family's feeling when you said, okay, guess what, guys? Like, I'm going to quit being an engineer, which is what they're probably thinking, like, this is a top thing you're going to be able to do within your life, to, okay, now I'm going to excel in real estate and do better than that sector that I was in before.
It was a weird conversation, but at that point I was already outpacing my salary by like 2x when I left, and showing them or telling them about like that type of stuff and what I had planned and everything. In that sense, it was relatively easy conversation, but I think it was harder for me than my parents, because for my whole life, you know, that's like kind of what I had built up to in my head to do. And from pretty much the age of 15 until the day I left, I was either working towards becoming an engineer or I was performing as an engineer. So it was bittersweet. And I loved my job. I loved the people that I worked with, and I wasn't leaving because, you know, I hated what was going on. I only left because I had to choose between like sleep and work. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice my performance on either the real estate side or the engineering, like day job side. So what was being sacrificed was my health. You have to choose. And my wife, girlfriend at the time, was in school, and she's seeing me like change over the calls and whatever else, or like gain weight and lose hair and be tired, and like I'm working 20-hour days and like this type of thing. And she's like, why the fuck are you still, like, just choose something? And I was like, you don't understand, like, I'm doing this for us, like, when you're back. And she, like, that was actually a really life-changing conversation, because what she said to me was, I didn't ask you to do this. You know, like I didn't tell you I want these whatever. I don't want all these accomplishments and whatever. Like you're just gonna die. You got to choose. So that was a really important conversation for me. I was like, all right, what am I actually chasing here? Like I need to find some balance. And that's when I left. And it was right when I picked up the 33 unit apartment building in London here. And I was like, all right, so I'll send, you know, my like kind of farewells to this part of my life and focus on this new stage of buying larger buildings.
Yeah. That's some crazy advice.
Right? That's
Like I didn't ask for this, you know what I mean? Like yeah, that's
I mean, I think as men in general, and like I'll generalize, but we do feel the need to provide and be the protector and provider and everything like that as a general statement, I think. But I think it's also valuable to check in with our partner sometimes just to see if what we're doing is actually what they wanted in the first place. Like that was a reality check I didn't know I needed. It was really a good wake up call and a great conversation. And really, like, I don't know, I felt like it was really a pivot in my life where for the first time, instead of just working because, you know, that's my job, just work. Now I can work, but also find balance.
Yeah. Like my older cousin always tells me, he's like, what will make or break you as a woman? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Straight up. Like it's like she's either gonna inspire you to be like that, or she'll be like, oh, just, you know, like do what's easiest. Right.
Yeah.
So how important is it to have like a woman like that in your life?
Yeah. I mean, my wife Petra has been a huge motivator in so many different ways. And like she's not in the business. She's completely out of the field and I don't involve her in my day-to-day or anything like that. But she has a really good perspective on so many different things that I can just throw some stuff at her. And then she's like, well, what about this? And the other thing, our personalities are very different. I'm like, I get angry quick and then cool down quick. But she's like more patient, more thoughtful, more caring, more whatever. So like sometimes when I'm like getting angry, like getting to that point, I'm just like, all right, Petra, am I being stupid about this? Like, should I lose it? Or like, am I just being dumb? She's like, no, like, what about this? What about this? And I was like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. Yeah. I won't send this email, delete.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's like a blessing. That's lucky to have someone like that on your side, right? Like
the
someone,
perfect
like your life partner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like that one email could ruin a lot of things.
Yeah, just out of anger, right? Like, and she's taught me patience in many different occasions.
Yeah.
Do you find not having her within like the same industry that you're working in allows you to kind of have a different perspective without being both of you focused on the same thing?
Yeah, like, I mean, I never wanted to do everything with my partner. I'm not that kind of guy. Like, for example, you know, even when I was in high school, I didn't want to date a girl at my high school. Or even, you know, like I would never date someone from my work or like something like that. Because then what do you talk about? You're doing all the same stuff all day long together. Do you remember? Oh yeah, I was there.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I don't know. It was just not for me. So like even with this, you know, she's got her whole separate thing. I've got my whole separate thing. We talk about, you know, whatever our day was or everything like that. And now like we spend a lot of time together now. We're like, we have a new baby and stuff. So
congratulations also.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
That's awesome to hear,
I appreciate it. And that's been like, you know, a really, really cool, but even with that, like I still have work and she's on mat leave. So when she has the baby and I'm doing my thing, or I have the baby and she's like doing her stuff, there's so much happening with this baby that there's like, for example, I am kind of pissed off. I missed the other day, her first laugh.
Oh,
like Petra's telling her some joke. I don't know, some voices and some stupid whatever, but she laughed at it. That was the first time, and she got it on video, luckily. But I was just like, damn it! I wanted that to be my first laugh. So you know, even though we're at home a lot together now, there's so much development happening with this baby that there's so much to share still, and like I don't have that same like we are doing everything together. I don't like that personally. Like what? Otherwise, you're just talking about like, oh, I watched one show without you on Netflix, and like you were watching this thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's more important stuff to talk about.
I was just gonna say, like, take us through the experience of like having your kid.
Yeah,
You know, and like, how did that like light a fire under your ass? Like, just take us through that, because we don't have kids, but we're kidless, right? So
even to like that first hold and like
take us through that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was always the kind of guy that wanted kids.
Yeah.
Like I had never had any doubt that at some point I'd have kids. But when I found out that my wife was pregnant, and it was just like, okay, it's not just me anymore. Like, okay, yeah, I love her, I'm married to her, whatever. But it's different with your kid. Like it's part of you.
Yeah.
Like, this is a separate person that came into your life and whatever. But you made this.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how it felt for me.
Yeah.
No, I get
And
you.
And that was even before I held her or anything like that. And you know, honestly, going through the ultrasounds and the kicks and everything, I didn't feel that real like connection. I just had a sense of duty.
Yeah.
Like as a man, a sense of duty, that type of thing. But when I actually held this baby or saw the baby for the first time, it just felt like, okay, I got to get this shit. Like whatever is going on in my life doesn't matter.
Yeah.
This is the girl that I'm doing it all for. Like that type of thing. Even though like I felt, like I don't want to shit talk my wife, but it's incomparable.
No, of course.
I think I don't even know, but like I see where you're coming from. It's like,
well, yeah, like because you're with someone for so long, you're dating, and like you know them and like you love them.
Yeah.
Like, but like it's like something brand new.
Yeah, this is different.
Man.
Like, yeah,
I can't imagine.
Yeah. So like I don't mean it in a bad way against my wife at all, but it was just like a whole other level of like, okay, I'm working for like
this is my new number one.
I'm this girl's bitch now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, I love that. Though.
So yeah, it was cool. And like I have a whole, like I was there for the whole birth and everything like that. I have a whole other level of respect for women, man. Like, holy crap, what their body can do, what they can like perform while this is happening too. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, thank God it's not us.
Yeah, right.
I can
a lot
tell
of
you
them
right
would
now,
cave so quick.
I can tell you right now that I would rather die.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Oh my God. It was beyond impressive. And like, she was walking that night, went to go take a shower, everything. I was like, dude, this kid just came out of you. Like, I cannot imagine. Like the most you can probably ever imagine as a guy is like maybe kidney stone or maybe giant fat shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Facts.
like, but everything else, you're just like, please no.
Yeah.
But so anyways, that like the change of, you know, the level of respect for my wife, and what her body achieved for our family, even like breastfeeding and everything like that. It's a lot. There's like a 25%, something like that, calorie intake needed extra to just produce milk, and you know, the sleep deprivation for her, especially like for us guys, we don't have like the maternal instinct. I didn't know what that meant until recently. Like, she can hear this baby crying from a mile away.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Or just know, like, I'm holding the baby, she starts crying, I can't make her stop crying. My wife comes in, she's like, oh, just do this. I was like, oh, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Like, I have a checklist of things like in my head. Just like, do this, do this, do this. Okay, no, nothing's working. Now what do I do? And then she comes in just like, oh yeah, just something. And it works every time. It's insane.
It has to be like that mitochondrial DNA that they share.
Yeah.
Man,
Like it's something deeper.
It's so cool.
It's so specific that it matters that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like something so simple as you're holding them this way versus the other way.
Mm.
And it's just like, maybe it's a gas bubble or some fart or like, or something, you know, like, but it's cool. Like if you guys want kids and
100%.
if that's something that you're excited about, like it was life-changing in the best possible way for me. And like very motivating on the monetary side as well. Like we kind of offline chatted about, you know, the public school system and the different mantras that are going through that I don't necessarily want enforced on my kids. So I was looking at like private school or Montessori or something like that, and just be prepared for $20,000 a year.
Could you tell us a little more about that and like why that like not like to specifics, but like why that was something that you felt that was, I guess, right for your family and like
of course. So I am a huge fan of education in general. It's what got me to where I am today, and even like, you know, attending that conference and everything like that was just this light bulb moment. But education needs to be clean. You can't, or shouldn't, in my opinion, shouldn't be taking the teachers' ideologies and the ideologies of various things and forcing them on children. Just give them the education. And then as they get older and they have all this knowledge and information, they turn that into wisdom and make their own ideologies, or then can start adopting some of the ideologies of things around them, rather than, at 5 or 6 years old being told things that are maybe irreversible to them in the future. So I'm not a fan of that type of thing. And I want my kids' education to be a clean education in that sense. And if any ideology is going to be forced on this kid, it's going to be my ideology.
As it should be,
if anything.
But as it should be though, from the parents, right? Not being forced down from others.
And I'm not even necessarily a fan of that. I want them to be educated enough to make an informed decision. Like I was raised Catholic, I went to Catholic school. But when I was in grade 11 and grade 12, I took world religion, where I for the first time really learned about pretty much every other religion in the world, and looked at the Catholic religion, looked at this religion. It's like they're all the same. But what is being what was given to me was information, and then I can make my decisions according to that information. Without any permanent irreversible changes to myself. So
100%.
I respect that, like giving like the kid the autonomy from the beginning to just be what they
might not have the all the information to make really good decisions, and that's okay. You want them to fail in a safe environment. That's the point of education. And in science in general, hypothesis,
like engineering too, they'll fail safe also, right?
Fail safe, fail fast. But in a safe environment, and one where you can learn from those mistakes and go back and fix those mistakes if you need to, and not do hormone blockers and permanent surgeries and everything like that. So that's where it is for my family and the decisions I was kind of thinking about. And my daughter's 5 months old. I'm far enough away from this that I have time to plan. But I'm holding this kid. I'm like, this is a $20,000 a year baby for school. Let alone, 10 diapers a day at newborn, etc.
So, and like, was it like something you had to convince your wife, or was she on board right away? Like
we have the same mindset on that. And our communication's always been top notch. She was away for school for many years, so communication's always been an important part of our relationship. And we had all these conversations years ago. It wasn't a new thing to us, and it wasn't a surprise. But I think both of us, as soon as we found out that we're having a child, there's some protection switch that just turns on. Like I didn't really care before that much, but now it's like, oh, it's going to impact me and my kids, my family. Like all of a sudden I care. Like even for politics and stuff, I didn't really care about left wing, right? I didn't even know what left wing, right wing, whatever anything was. And all of a sudden I'm impacted so hard by something. So now it's like, oh, I have to learn this. I have to take part in it. I have to participate and speak up if I need to as well. So
it's like the natural, like the mother bear and father bear, like protective mode.
Did you find especially since now you have more time freedom, because like you've allowed yourself and you've developed like the person that you are to have this, so you brought up like her laughing when you weren't there. Was that kind of like a hit, because like now you have all this freedom and you would say I should be there? Is that why it kind of like hit you a little differently?
Like the whole reason I've been working to this point is to make sure that I'm home to be with this kid and be there for my family and everything like that. And I was away on some call or whatever, like stuff comes up. There's still stuff to do. Like I'm not just sitting at home doing nothing. But it was just during that brief moment that I was away. It was like 45 minutes that I was out away from, and I missed it, and I was like, damn it. That should have been my first lap. That type of thing. And we always compete. She doesn't speak or anything like that. She's just cooing and making some random grunts right now. But we always like try to compete to see if she's gonna say mama or dada first.
I love that.
And we always like, whenever I'm with her, I'm just like, say dada and say mother.
Make it hard, make it extra hard for her.
Literally. And the wife's probably doing the same thing. She's like,
mama and father.
100%, dude. And like it's weird, and I'm like a little bit embarrassed. I just did like those types of voices and stuff, but it's you cannot stop it when you're holding that kid. And I never thought I had that side of me even, but you just can't help it. Like it's crazy. It's so weird.
And it's important, I think, to maybe like those are brand new like emotions, like you said. Like maybe if you didn't have a kid, you'd be more like stern. But it's important to like allow like what life gives you to teach you those lessons.
100%.
You know what
I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like we go through life for these new things, new experiences. And actually, one of the other really important conversations, just to kind of hop back, that I had with my mom, and she was asking like, "Why are you working so hard? What's next? Why do you have to keep doing all this stuff?" And on that side, I was just asking her like, "What do you want me to do with my time? Like, if I don't do this, what should I do? Should I just sit at home, or should I like mop the floor? Like,
could you though? Do you think that
No
would
way.
be the person? Like, imagine like
No
you weren't
way.
doing what you were doing now. What would be your other choice? Do you think there is another one? Like,
so my wife and I did this like kind of spa day thing, whatever. One of it was like journaling and saying like money's no object, time's no object, whatever. What do you want to do, you know, given that you don't have any of these restrictions? And for me, it was teacher.
I can see that.
And but now I have this kid to teach.
Mm.
You know, like that is like a new, for example, you know, in the morning, I prepare all the meals for our family.
That's
So
awesome. Cheffer man over
Sweeter
here.
man.
Yeah, sweeter chef man over here.
like, I'm you know, my wife's personal chef, and I love cooking.
Yeah.
But I'm holding my baby. I'm telling, like, as she can't understand shit, but I'm telling her like, okay, we're making a like 6-egg omelet, and this is what goes in, and this is what happens, and this is why we're at this temperature. Like I just blurred out, I'm trying to give her as much words and information and knowledge as whatever possible, and just like literally just narrate my whole life while I'm holding her. And maybe she'll pick something up. I don't know. Maybe not. But in the meantime, it's good practice for me to make sure that I'm doing things properly as well.
And in a weird way, like it must feel therapeutic though.
Yeah.
Like
It's kind of nice.
Right?
Yeah. Like you just have this little buddy that's always there.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have like we were talking about dogs briefly, and I was never an animal person before.
Really?
And my wife basically brought home a dog one day, like sort of like we went to go pick it up, but like essentially that's hey, come meet me here.
yeah. What kind of dog?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
breed?
What'd you
It's
get?
a Merle poodle,
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
a
Okay.
rescue,
Yeah. Oh, rescue too
deaf,
for a Merle.
and
wow.
like partially blind.
Yeah. Merles
So
have that.
yeah, they typically have that type
Yeah.
of thing. So you know, I was not an animal person really, but like as soon as I held this dog too, I'm just like, damn it, now I get it. Like
Yeah.
I never thought it'd be like the animal voice guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, I
yeah,
never
yeah.
thought that. And now I'm talking to this stupid deaf dog. Like,
Yeah, but it's your other baby in a way, right?
like she can't even hear me, and
Yeah.
I'm doing this anyways. So that's like, you know, another stage or whatever. So like even before we had this baby, I had this dog, and describing to this dog what's going on, it's not the same because I know she can't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now with the baby, like I hand her a spoon, or I hand her, you know, a little piece of carrot or something, and she's holding it and like learning how to use her hands. And like one of the really cool things, like for us, when you like turn your head and I keep my eyes on you, we had to learn how to do that. She didn't know how to move her eyes together first, and then she started moving them together, but they were really like jagged and wonky,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're smooth. But when they lock on something and you turn her head, you manually turn her head, her eyes go too, and then she has to look back.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's getting like, it's crazy. The learning or the things that are so natural, like handing the glass from one hand to the other.
Yeah.
You have to know how much pressure and exactly where it is without looking. Like it's the amount of knowledge that she's absorbing every day. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm just trying to provide an environment where she can like absorb something randomly. Maybe I don't even know,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how all these things work. Like you go to a conference, you go to some meetup, and someone just behind you is saying, oh, like blah, 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 Airbnb. And you're like, oh shit, what the hell was that?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you don't do it right away, but then like it just clicks. You're like, oh shit, I heard that thing that one day, and now I'm going to implement it. Or you can pass it on. Oh, I know you're looking for that. I heard this guy talking about it. You know, like
the dots kind
in
of
the same
idea.
way, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to provide an environment, like even if maybe I know she doesn't understand what's going on right now,
Yeah.
just narrate everything. Like I had her on a hearing this morning,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like
That's so sick. Yeah, this baby's gonna be dangerous.
very
When she's
dangerous.
older, she's gonna be like, "Yeah, I know. 5 years old. Yeah, you know about 33 units
And then
or
the
something.
and 12.
Yeah, my dad told me give you this. Make sure you sign it.
I love it.
so, like, you know, just narrating everything that's going on. She can hear everything, like she can see everything, and just trying to tell her what's going on.
Do you
Whatever it is.
do you feel like fulfilled at this point now?
Oh, yeah.
Like compared to like yes, you were getting more money and everything like that, but now with the time you have to be able to spend with your family, now you have somebody to teach and develop and like actually share who you are as a person, also develop as a person. Do you feel like you can say you're fulfilled at this point or getting there?
Yeah, I mean, I was the drive didn't come from a lack of fulfillment. The drive came from a seemingly waste of talent and potential. You know, like I should do this because I can.
Yeah.
And if I don't, and I know I can, then I'm lazy. And like, that's pretty much the only insult you can call me, I think. I don't really get offended. But if someone's like, even if I perceive someone's thinking I'm lazy, like I'm already pissed off.
Yeah.
So that's where that came from. It wasn't necessarily like, I want more. I was pretty comfortable. Like I didn't want for anything in that sense. And, or like a direct need, like at the bottom of Maslow's ladder or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was more like I can do it, so I should. And now in this case with the baby and like what's next for me, if I look at like where I was 5 years ago, 2019 to today, I can't imagine that guy saying, "This is what I want." Like I can't imagine him coming to me and saying, "I want what you have."
Yeah.
That guy didn't even know it existed. So for this kid, I want her to know all these things exist because then they can, you know, they can achieve whatever they want sooner, but also know that more is possible.
Yeah. Have you always been like your biggest like self-critique? Like you know what I mean? Like is it hard for you to enjoy moments? Like are you always putting that pressure on yourself or
I mean pressure, yes. But not from a place of criticism. I mean I don't really have like an inner voice saying like you're a little bitch, work harder or anything like that. But there are definitely moments like we talked about briefly when, you know, I see someone doing something and like I'm like, wow, that is amazing. But he did it.
Yeah.
You know, like
what can I
it's
do?
kind of shitty. I know it's kind of shitty, but like then I take that back to myself and be like, if he can do it, like why aren't you doing it? That's my kind of motivation in that sense. Or like I look at the stuff that I'm doing and then I see how someone else has done it and I'm just like, all right, that's a way better way to do it. Like I have no shame or embarrassment on what I'm doing. If there's a better way to do it, if there's like a proven better way to do it.
And in a moment like that, would you say your conscience is very loud? Like
you just have to do it. Like I cannot not do it. Like for example, if you tell me something that's like crazy at 11:30 at night, I have to do it that night. Like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. And you've always been like that? Is that
Always.
something that
Do you have
always been
siblings?
I do.
where,
Two
okay,
siblings,
so is there any like where do you sit with the sibling ladder?
I'm the
like?
oldest.
Okay.
And but they too have their own companies as well.
Okay. So it's a very like successful line then.
I mean, it's just do what you want to do, right? Like that type of thing. So my brother's company, Flight Club, has a platform that rents private airplanes, like Turo or like that type of thing.
Cool.
For airplanes. And then my sister's also got a cleaning company. I know you do as well.
Awesome.
So her company does all my residential, commercial, like turnover cleans, deep cleans, everything like that.
Yeah.
So
do you feel like that is kind of also a little bit of a motivation to kind of like, I wouldn't say stay on top, but also to be
a leader, maybe?
Yeah, a leader. Exactly. Right. Like it's not necessarily driven by like, I guess, needing that ego to be like, I'm the oldest and also the best, but also like a form of someone to look up to in a way.
Maybe not. I wouldn't say like competitively. Like, all three of us we're very close. All three of us have each other's backs really tight. But as a potential leader or just provider, I think in general, a strong urge to do something like that. I think that would be the better descriptor than any sort of competition. All three of us are always there for each other when we need it. So it wouldn't be like a competition side of thing.
Yeah. And especially with siblings, right? It's like you, like for example, like I brought my little siblings to the event and they signed up for Wealth Genius, 19 and 22. And I'm like, yo, I can't wait till you guys are my age because I want you guys to be way better than what I am at my age. You know what I mean? So it's
100%.
like, you just like, especially with family, it's like, it's all love.
I mean, but I think as a teacher and as a leader, one of the most telling and most like fulfilling things that you could possibly ever have is your students killing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't want them to be shitty. Like
It's true. It's true. I think we had been talking about it before. It's like you had mentioned the quote, but it's a good result of if you were a good parent, or which would be from the grandparent standpoint, if the grandkids are actually successful also, because then you knew a generation after actually was able to learn from all the struggles and everything like that and perform at that
like
level.
you can't measure a parent's success until you see the grandkids.
Okay.
Because then you know whether or not they replicated that leadership. Right?
Really cool.
You can't like be like, okay, like these are parents and their kids are amazing, they're good parents, because like their kids could just be amazing, right? But it's really the grandkids.
Yeah,
like,
was that luck?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Was that luck, or are they able to actually like go down the funnel and share the morals and the values and the lessons, right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So I guess your parents are waiting to see if that's true.
Dude, man, since I was 24, my mom's been like, "Where's the kids? Where's the kids?"
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I kind of want to switch the conversation in regards to like real estate, right? Because you were doing duplexes, triplexes, maybe like fourplexes and stuff like that. But then you jumped into a 33 unit building.
Yeah.
Take us through that and like what made you think that you can achieve such a big thing?
Yeah. It's funny that you say it that way, because now I don't think of it as a big thing, but that was also like a few years ago. But it was at that point the biggest thing I'd ever done in my entire life. And I had, I don't know, 50 plus units, 75 units, I don't know, something like that, of like duplex, triplex, fourplex, small bunch of stuff. And in my head, I was just going to keep doing that because I had so much success with it. And I never even thought about going bigger. And it's interesting that building that you're talking about in London, I had my paper route past that building. I've driven past that a million times growing up here in London. And I never once thought I would own that building. It was not even a realm of possibility, or like you think you can dream big, but it's not, you're still capped at something.
Yeah.
And anyways, so I had all that stuff, and I had met, you've spoken about Alfonso. You talked to Alfonso before, and I just talked to him about, I'm so good, man. Yeah. Appreciate it. I talked to him about like what I was doing and what he's doing and everything like that. And I think at that point he had, I think like only like 700 doors or something like that, which
only 700 doors.
He's grown a lot since,
of
right?
Course, yeah.
But I talked to him about that, and he's like, why are you buying all this small, like 2Z, 3Z, 4Z shit? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, why don't you buy bigger stuff? I was like, I mean, I can't, I don't actually know. Like, why am I not? And at that same time, I had, again, it's shitty to say this. I know it's shitty, but this guy had seen, he put an offer on this building, and it was like 5 million, 6 million. Yeah. And I was like, this fucking guy did it? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't buy it, but he put an offer on it. And that was enough to like, be like, why am I not doing this?
Yeah.
That type of thing. Anyways, between Alfonso and, like that guy, that are as my two motivators, I started looking in that direction.
Yeah. And like so how did you approach it though? Like, you had to go look for the deal, the 33 unit. Like, how was that whole deal even like? How did it become a reality?
It was just insane. So I met Alfonso, and I talked to maybe 5 different people who had said like, talk to Alfonso. And I went to a meetup. It was like a Tuesday, and I met this guy, and he's like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. And I was like, for the first time ever, I want to buy an apartment building. I said that out loud for the first time on that Tuesday. And that would have been, I don't know, like February or so of 2021. And he's like, oh, I have one that can take you through it. And he was telling me a little bit about it, and it was like 1 beds, no parking kind of shit. And I was like, nah, I'm not interested in that. Like if you have something, else, let me know. And he's like, okay, like talk to this guy. There was some realtor. And I talked to the realtor, and I was like, I want 3-story walk up, no elevators. I don't care if it's shit. I know how to turn the crack houses around.
Wait, sorry, why not elevators? Is that a reason?
Just too expensive. It was like a limiting factor in my head. It was just expensive and whatever else. Yeah, maintenance. And
sure.
In my head, it was just like a criteria.
Yeah, okay.
It was like I didn't have enough knowledge at the time to understand how to build that into my NOI and my expenses and everything. So it's just like one step at a time.
Would it be different now, knowing what you know? Would you
definitely?
You would take the elevator?
It doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
None of it matters.
I love
anymore.
to hear that.
Sure.
Because that's like such a small problem at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But back then it was just like, hell no, I'm not touching an elevator. But I mean, like, as you keep doing all this different stuff, you just start thinking about all these things in a different way. And like, I don't want to sound cocky about it, but when you solve a certain set of problems, solving those same set of problems the second time is way easier.
Yeah.
So even if there's like a little plus sign and something else at the end, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
You know, it's just easier the second time.
Yeah.
So that's where that comes from. But yeah, so talked to that guy, talked to this realtor, and that was like Wednesday or something like that in February. And I mentioned like my very specific set of criteria. And he's like, oh, I've got one. This guy I know is selling it. So the realtor is like, do you want to come for a showing? I was like, fuck yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
And I had no goddamn money, no idea what the hell I was doing. And I went for the walkthrough, and I was calling Alfonso on the way there. I was like, hey, like, I'm going for a walkthrough right now. He's like, did you like finish module 1 or module 2?
Wow, yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, well, I didn't even know there's modules yet. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, but I'm going for a walkthrough. He's like, just take lots of pictures and videos. You know, even if this doesn't go through, it'll be good for like
learning experience kind
your
of thing, right?
your Instagram, your Facebook, your learning, raising money, everything like that. And then did the walkthrough, and that Friday submitted an offer, and it got accepted.
What?
And I was
Wow.
like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Alfonso, like, dude, this thing's $5 million.
So now
Yeah.
you're looking for funding and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you operate on that?
So I ended up selling one of my properties. Took some of the cash from that. I had raised some money privately. I put a first position mortgage and a second position mortgage as well. So the first, the second, and my private funds ended up getting me up to 95% loan to value.
Wow.
And then I used all my sale proceeds and other private funds to finance the renovation. And it took me about a year to refi. So,
Wow.
Wow. And like,
Congratulations on that. Though.
Yeah,
that's
thanks,
a big. That's
that's huge.
Yeah.
And like throughout that whole process, like, is it like sleepless nights? Like, are you just creating systems?
Oh,
like,
dude, it was insane. No, there's no systems at the start for me. Like, I thought I had a good systems and everything like that, but you know, all of a sudden I'm renovating 10 units at a time or something like that, you know. And while those are being renovated, I'm chasing these other 20 units for money because it was shithole building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was bad. So like the building's income when I bought it was $17K a month gross. My first position debt was 28. My second position was another 5.
Mhm.
And construction
Yeah.
every month. So out the door every month was 60K.
Jeez.
And then, you know, now the building makes 45 plus a month gross. And I don't have the construction costs in the same way and everything like that. So it's a different game, but I knew like this is where it would be in the end. So it's worth it. So lots of sleepless nights, but that's why I ended up leaving my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I closed that building like May or something. And by July, I was already almost dead.
Yeah.
And that's when that conversation with my wife happened. So
around that period, then.
I left my job around July or so.
Yeah.
And like I was there a lot. I was there a lot. But it was worth it. You know, I got all the riffraff out of there. Even my buddies that are cops, they're like, dude, why'd you buy this thing? I've personally kicked in 20 doors in this place.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, this fucking window, I've shot bullets through this window. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Why'd you buy this thing?
Wow.
But now it's nice.
And at that
Yeah.
time, like when you submitted the offer, like, did you know
Oh,
this is
man.
gonna be it?
Too much knowledge is also dangerous. You can
Yeah.
talk yourself out of everything. I just knew it was a good price per door. I knew there was a good exit, multiple exits. So that's all I needed. You can really talk yourself out of anything. Like, you know, there's people that can find a huge sense of accomplishment by reading a book or listening to podcasts and everything like that. But that's all they ever end up doing.
Mhm.
So like if someone's listening to this and they're like, oh, I've listened to every podcast out there and I've read every book. Why am I not successful? It's because you're too busy doing that.
Yeah.
You know, they need to do some action. Like, even if you don't have all the information, that's where people like, you know, yourselves come in, or myself or Alfonso or whoever you're talking to, that, you know, that person has that specific answer. So until you can ask specific questions, you know, you don't have enough information. When you have the information to ask specific ungoogleable questions, that's when you know I need to level up. I need to take the next step. I need to ask that person. I need to pay for the coach. But up till that point, you're just pleasuring yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's true. You can get stuck in reading books and podcasts, and then like you're doing the same shit for like the last 2 years, 3 years, right?
It's like the education, but without actually putting it to actual
like, just work. You're a collector of knowledge.
Yeah.
But you can collect assets.
Yeah, that's crazy. What really does like keep you motivated, especially when you're down? Like, are you thinking about like yourself and where you're going to be, or is there like mantras you're going through, or what is it? Because like not everyone has it. But like
we kind of talked about this. Like, it's going to be such a disappointing answer.
Why though? Why do you think so?
Because there's just no down. There's always something else that's pushing me to something else. Like, there's definitely periods of time where I'm not as motivated, or I don't feel like doing it or anything like that. But that's where my discipline and my habits come in. I do it because I have to do it. I do it because I always do it. I do it because that's who I am. And there's no alternative. So regardless of what, I'm feeling sad, feel sad, but get the work done. Feel sad while getting the work done. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's you can do it both at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a great mindset.
Yeah, it is.
That's
a great mindset, and that's why I asked, and like even to you saying like, oh, like I think that's the most important things, right? Like, it is okay to like live through your moments and feel what you feel.
Hell yeah.
But I guess, as you said, it's like the job isn't done till the job is done.
Yep. And then when it's done, you have time to spend it with your family and your friends, or go to the gym, or eat something yummy, or, whatever you need to help cope with that. It is what it is, but you can't not perform. Like, at least for me, that is the motivator, is I just have to do it. Mm-hmm. There's no one else to do it. Mm-hmm. It has to be me.
Yeah. Take us through that moment when you were like, okay, this was worth it. After all the cockroaches, after all the the landlord-tenant board and all that like bullshit. When was it when you're like, okay, this was really worth it?
Getting my appraisal.
That cockroach story too is a good one. I think
you
should tell them about.
Yeah, maybe before the appraisal story, I'll tell them that. So like, I had negotiated with the seller a bunch of vacant units, and then that allowed me to like kind of get the ball rolling. I even started construction before closing, which allowed me to have units that I could rent out on closing, which was really helpful. Because like I said, gross income was $17K. First position, $28K. Second position, $5K.
So 33 minimum.
33 is going out the door, and 17 is gross, not net. It's rough, right? Yeah. So I needed to just pull cash in as fast as possible, and the seller, super helpful. But it doesn't matter if you make the goddamn Taj Mahal. If someone is walking past a crackhead to get to the Taj Mahal, they don't want to stay there.
Yeah,
true.
That's actually such a good
example.
True. Yeah, literally.
So you got to fix that shit, and that's what that was the hard work. That was why there's so many sleepless nights. I stayed there overnight, a couple nights, just to see what was going on, see who's like the players.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Scope out the scene almost.
I did a couple creative things that maybe you're not going to find on a YouTube video. I put free Wi-Fi for all the police officers, so that when they're on their breaks, they're parked outside my lot.
Oh, so they could stay there and chill.
They're just chilling there. They're not on duty.
That's what?
Yeah.
But it's free Wi-Fi. With dispatch, I called in. I said, hey, there's a lockbox just for police officers. This unit, it's vacant. It's fully renovated. Shower, washroom, whatever. You need it, just go. Wow. So now there's random cops walking my building. And like a lot of my friends are cops. So like they spread the word. And now I always had cops there for the first year.
Yeah, because other buildings aren't doing that.
No,
right? So it's like yeah, that's very interesting, very like smart.
That's
smart
as smart as. That is
Yeah,
smart.
I can't afford security.
Yeah, but that's the
like
best
$30
security you're gonna
an
get. Also, though, right?
It's kind of random, but you know what that reminds me of? I remember my wife's cousin's husband, when she was giving birth, he bought the whole floor pizza, all the nurses pizza, all the nurses like whatever, so that like they would watch her more.
Yeah,
so like that's really
attention.
smart, bro.
No, but even that's the craziest play ever. If you think about it, it's like, okay, how do I get security? Well, I can get security, but let me get the best security.
Yeah.
That is wow. I am like, yeah, like my brain. Yeah. Well, okay, let me ask that then. What made you think of that? Did someone tell you like
I just have friends that are cops, right? So every now and then they're always like, fuck, I'm so hungry, or I need to go to the bathroom. I can't go to the freaking Tim Hortons because like half the guys I arrested are over there. Or this or that. And I'm like, I can solve that problem, no problem. Easy. Free Wi-Fi, washroom. Done.
Yeah.
Just park outside.
Yeah.
That is
Wow. So like that's how you were able to like really turn over these units and have like eyes on them.
Yeah.
It wasn't even turning over, like the police presence wasn't to turn over units.
Mm-hmm.
It was just to set a new bar for the area.
Yes.
Like whoever's the usual characters walking around there, they're like, fuck, there's always cops here now. I'm just not going to do that shit
new
anymore.
standard kind of.
Yeah. And then I'm a very strict landlord, extremely strict. So N5s are going out all the time, which is if failure to kind of perform in the right behavior,
Yeah.
N4s for non-payment of rent, and 8s for late payment of rent. I'm very, very strict.
Mm-hmm.
So, my VAs were cranking out forms for everything. Smoking in the hallways, loud music, leaving garbage, not paying rent on time, persistent late payment of rent, not having tenant insurance, all these things. And that's how I got a lot of the people out before the hearings who just knew that this was going to be a pain in the ass for them because they didn't want to follow the rules. So they all left. So now all of a sudden, it's good and it's bad, but all of a sudden I had 10 units extra vacant, and now my cash flow is nothing.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I'm making nothing basically because the people who are staying, they're not even paying.
Yeah.
So now I have no cash flow basically.
Yeah. So you kind of shot your cash flow up for like a good reason, obviously.
Yeah, it's worth it in the long run, but those are pain points, right? Those are the sleepless nights. Those are the ways that you need to perform.
Was there any point you wanted to give up and you were like, fuck this?
No way. No, like you just know it's worth it in the end. There's definitely points where I'm just like, I can't do this. I'm not ready enough, or I took way too much on. There's definitely moments like that of self-doubt and you're trying to figure it out. But that's when you call your friends. That's when you call your mentors. That's when, like, I am fucked. Like, I got to make a $60,000 payment tomorrow. What am I going to do? They're like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? You figure it out because that's the community. And the cockroaches that you were talking about. So we nuclear blasted that building. I spent probably $20,000 on pest control. Wow. Going through again and again and again. And there was one unit that was so infested that we sealed the doors, the windows and everything so all the chemicals don't go out.
Yeah.
And we sprayed it 4 times.
Normally
survived? 1 is enough. We did 4. And so the first one we did before touching anything or moving anything. Then we cleared everything out. Then we sprayed it again. Then we took out all the drywall. Then we sprayed it again. Did the reno. And then sprayed it again.
Wow.
What?
And we filled up like a shop vac of cockroaches, just vacuuming around, a full shop vac full of cockroaches. Insane.
Wow.
And that was probably the most cockroaches I've ever seen.
That didn't deter you in any way?
It was funny to me. And honestly, like you hear it sometimes, like, oh, when you walk into like this kind of shitty rundown place, you're like, I'm going to get a good deal on this.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be worth it in the end.
That's what they expect almost.
But like, think of it, like we kind of briefly talked about net operating income, cash flow, and what that looks like with cap rates. But, at a 5% cap rate, it's a 20x multiplier. So if you bring in $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. That's $240,000 in value.
Mm-hmm.
So, going from someone that's not paying or paying $500 a month to the rent that's $1,500 a month, $1,000 delta, $12,000 a year, that's $240,000 on value on the refi.
100% worth it.
Yeah.
So am I gonna cry about some cockroaches?
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah, no.
If I tell you, hey, I'll pay you $300,000 to go in there, vacuum up this shit.
Oh, I think anyone would. And if you win,
it'd take you 2 hours.
Yeah.
No brainer. No
problem. So like that's what I mean. It's always like the motivation was that the end is worth it. But there's definitely times it's hard.
Yeah. I remember I was in Cuba the first time I saw a cockroach, and once I learned those motherfuckers fly, so that shook me.
That was in our room
because I thought they only crawled, but they fly, bro.
They can, yeah. Then there's different like breeds, and you have to kill them with different poisons.
Yeah, they say they would live through a nuclear bomb, like
without their heads.
Yeah,
all this other stuff, man. It's nuts.
These fucking demons. Anyways, but like, take us through the success story. Like, when did you feel like it was all worth it?
Yeah, when I finally got the appraisal,
Yeah.
Like I see the appraisal numbers and like just mind blowing because my whole portfolio up to that point was half of what, or the whole portfolio at that point was around the 5 million mark, and I just bought that $5 million building.
Yeah.
And then, go to the appraisal point, it's like almost 9 million, 8.5 million, something like that. And just like, shit.
Yeah. Now we're talking money.
Like, obviously the banks don't give you the full appraisal value and everything like that. It doesn't matter. But it was seeing that was the point of just like, that was worth it. That was good.
100%. Like all your hard work for all those other properties were just done in one deal.
Yeah. And that's what the expansion like kind of mindset is, right? Like where you're going from the smaller stuff to the bigger stuff. And now all of a sudden, that other 20, 30 properties or whatever, there's 20, 30 water heaters. This has 4 water heaters. That has like 20, 30 furnaces. This is 1 furnace. 20, 30 roofs. This is 1 roof. Like stuff like that.
Maximize to minimize also at the same time. So then so my next question would be, now you're thinking diversify. And like how you diversified, I'm still astounded. Like I still don't kind of get, like I get it, but I don't think anybody really gets it. Cause like it's such a like drastic move, not drastic, but like so different. I think it was like, I haven't heard anybody else do it. Maybe there is other people, but the way you did it, especially with like, now we're talking pallets also. It's a golden move.
I know you like my pallets.
I love your pallet. When I hear the pallet, I'm like, yo, this guy's
on the drive today. We're like, we're gonna go interview James. Like the pallets.
Like that to me is like, even too, because like where I work, we have pallets that are there for free. And I'm like, this guy's. So I do want to refrain from telling your story and let you go on this one. Could you kind of tell us why you diversified that way?
Sure. And pivoted to storage units.
Yeah. So started July or so 2021. When I was in kind of full swing of this renovation up until, maybe last year, about the same time frame, 2023. So about 2 years worth of turning over, like I was still buying other larger buildings and everything like that, and just turning over tenants and hearings and everything like that. So I did 150 or so hearings since then.
Wow.
And
that's
about 50 a year.
That's an expert in hearings.
That's stressful too. No?
After all those hearings.
It was initially, and now it's just routine. But yeah, like that's kind of where I started seeing the shift in sentiment as a society of what's expected of a landlord and what's expected of a tenant. And that shift scared me. It pissed me off too. So, the landlord tenant board in Ontario is very tenant friendly. The rules are actually pretty fair, but the delays typically favor the tenant, and the adjudicators typically favor their tenant. So I'll give you an example from a hearing 2 weeks ago. Persistent late payment of rent. Hasn't paid rent on time once in 2 years. And the order that I got for eviction stated, if they don't pay on time and in full again, you can file for eviction and get them out. So I did that because, again, they didn't pay on time. The tenant fought it and said, oh, I will next time. I know I didn't, but I will next time. It's like, but you haven't in 28 straight months. And we went to hearing, because you have to go to hearing if they fight it. And the adjudicator said, okay, one more try. Again. When I filed this thing? I filed it fucking a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And he's still there. And so again, June 1st came, didn't pay it on time. I filed again. And if he argues it again, I have to go to hearing again.
So there's like gaps of like 6 months. And
6 months every time.
Yeah.
How is that fair? You're not following your own rules as the landlord tenant board. So,
and like being leaders, like you don't want to baby people.
That's what
you know. What I mean?
I'm pretty strict for good reason. Like, and it's not. It's just easier to be stricter in my opinion, because it's automated. I don't have to think about it. First rent is due, second N4s go out, N8s go out. 16th we file, and then we wait for hearing.
Yeah,
there's no emotions, there's no prejudice, it's just, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And the team knows to do that. I know to do that. So it's not a case by case basis. Like, I understand, there's personal situations, and well, you've got 6 months to figure it out because the landlord tenant board has that delay.
Yeah.
So that type of thing. So, but going through this process again and again, and I kept seeing the sentiment shift. Like, landlords are shitty, kill the rich, blah blah, whatever nonsense. Like, you should have known that these problems were going to happen. You shouldn't own properties then.
Slumlords.
You name it.
Yeah.
Poor mindset.
Yeah, it is. It's
it is the mindset of a lot of people. And it started to become the mindset of the government as well, where, you know, small landlords are just getting pushed out in general. So I was like, okay, if that's the case, I'll hedge my bets. I'll hedge my bets on a commercial asset where I still have tenants. I can utilize all my systems and management and that type of experience on an asset that I can actually control. Because right now, if I wanted to move into any of my units, I can't. I don't control that asset. Even if I wanted to, if I begged, they're like, no, you have to go to hearing. And then I have to make a case to use my own property.
Yeah.
You know, it's very different on the commercial side. I can't raise the rent more than 2.5% on older buildings. You know, only new units after 2018, you can raise the rent to whatever you want.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So there's various restrictions, and I was just getting a little frustrated with that. And I just wanted to diversify to balance that. So that's where the self-storage side came in. And on the US side, the self-storage side came in just for my E2 visa and working through that process. So with the self-storage facilities, you know, we have the same like tenants, but we don't have any toilets really, maybe one or two, maybe a furnace, you know, a water heater for climate controlled facilities, that type of thing. Otherwise, it's just a steel box with a door. They bring their own lock. Sometimes we have a key. They have their own gate code. Rent's due on the first. You don't pay on the first. Late fee, and you're locked out on the second. You don't pay on the 30th. Like 30 days late, lien fee. 60 days late, we're selling your stuff.
That's crazy.
And it's wholly different. Yeah. And, you know, that's a little aggressive for like a tenant. Like, for example, in, I believe it's Florida, it's like 15 days and you can get evicted. That's a little tight. You know, like you miss one paycheck, that's a little aggressive.
Yeah.
30 to 45 days, I think it's pretty fair to figure out a rent payment.
Yeah.
You know, but not 6 months. That's insane. And, you know, I had one tenant where the hearing took a year and a half, but he didn't pay that whole time. So now 28K owed to me that I'll never see. Yeah. You know, something like that.
So in a way, like you're able to leeway with it being in Florida because it's like you understand like, okay, I'll give you those extra days. But if not.
Yeah. I mean, just on the storage side, it was a way to make sure that I have sufficient cash flow to balance my charity program with the landlord tenant board.
Yeah.
So
I love how you say it like that.
I mean, that's what it really is for small landlords at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Banks have much more power when they're taking over in power sale and power of attorney and that type of thing. But as a relatively small landlord, you wait the 6 months or whatever it is for the hearing. And that's like 6 months is normal now, but it was like 10 months or 12 months during COVID.
Yeah.
So
what was it, a seamless transition from being like a landlord to tenants to storage units? Like, was it seamless?
Dude, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
It's so much easier. If you have any like mild tech savviness, it's so much easier. Like everything's automated pretty much through our website. And my business partner Nathan is really like he works in IT. Mm-hmm. He's really good at that stuff. And then we implement various systems and processes to make it even smoother. I guess the main bottleneck right now is we don't have someone taking our calls coming in. So that's my job. But even that's not like, how long's a call take? 5 minutes to sell someone a storage unit that they already want?
What unit kind of thing, yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah,
right? So
the one stat you shared was crazy when you said how many man hours of labor did you implement?
I remember telling you that it was 48 man hours of labor on site for 2023. And everything else is pretty much automated. And granted, that doesn't count our snow removal contract and our grass cutting contract, but everything else, pretty much like it's just, there's not really much to do. Yeah. But even on the residential side, there's many things that you can automate to help with that. And I know the pallets, you guys are super excited about that. I'll just mention. Yeah. So, you know, getting free pallets from, you know, Canadian Tire or your work or wherever, just tons of free pallets everywhere. Go on anything, you'll see free pallets. Come pick it up. And what we ended up doing on one of our facilities is just grabbing them and, do you want to rent it for $10? And because they don't want to keep it on the concrete. So that and like so many other strategies are ways that you can help increase the NOI on a facility. People have added radio towers or like solar panels or things like that to help increase the dollar per square foot that you're like bringing in on the property. Vending machines, renting out, you know, like U-Haul trucks and this and that.
ATM stuff like that. That's crazy. Like, I'm outstanding.
Yeah.
I think I'm like, why is anybody doing real estate? Just 2 storage units on that foot, right?
Yeah.
It's
Different niche, but
it's a different, it's a mix of business and real estate.
Yeah.
You like, for the people that want it like kind of more passive, I think the storage side is more passive in my opinion. Unless you have like brand new buildings that you don't have any maintenance on, then I'd say the real estate side is more passive because you don't have clients that you're catering to relatively regularly.
Yeah.
But
Is that something you want to expand on? Is the storage units like that's something you want to double down on, or are you
Yeah,
still
I'm
kind
all-
of looking at both?
I'm all in on the storage side right now.
Yeah,
So I've
see.
got a big project in Florida coming up right now that, well, I've already bought the land and
Mhm.
we're going to be developing like 100,000 square feet,
Yeah.
100,000 units there.
That's awesome.
So
And
I'm
like,
all in on that.
are you doing your own market research to see like, okay, like they actually need that much, like, or is it you have like team members doing that for you?
Yeah. So like for a project that big, you don't want to fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can't take risks like that. So sure, I can do some due diligence, but who am I? I got to hire a pro to do that. So there's something called a feasibility analysis or feasibility report that's produced by this guy, and that deep dives into the area, into the data essentially, and it's a third party. He has no skin in the game, you know.
Mm.
So I get a report from someone like that, and I do my analysis, of course. I can also hire a REIT, like a storage REIT, a real estate investment trust, that is doing their own analysis, because guess what? I'm selling it to them when I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's in their best interest to make sure that the project is feasible as well.
Yeah.
So it's angled very well to, if you prepare it correctly, there's no kind of failure to it.
You mitigate and pass on risks at any point possible. So, you know, there's only really a few options with risks. You have to accept it, you have to mitigate it, you have to pass it on, and I can't remember, something else maybe.
Mhm.
But in our case, there's not many risks that we have to accept. Like, for example, people bring up hurricanes and stuff like that. The building code's different down there.
Mhm.
They're built for that. And we have insurance. So we pass on the risk of hurricane damage to our insurance company.
Yeah.
Through mitigation, you know, we do all our studies, the conservation study, soil analysis, geological, all the different studies like that,
Yeah.
just to make sure the ground that we're working with is good for what we're doing, planning and zoning and everything like that. And then customer analysis. So looking at the different storage areas or storage facilities in the area, looking at the radius and density of the population, trying to get data to help make these decisions. And you can't, like, the data doesn't lie to you. It is just this, and it's yes or no. So does it fit this criteria, yes or no? And that's it.
Yeah. And are you looking to expand more in the US or Canada for storage facilities?
Well, right now, my only focus really is that project in Florida.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about the apartment building being the biggest project that I've ever done at that point, bigger than everything I'd done put together at that point. This project is bigger than everything I've done to this point put together, and it's taking my full focus. So I'm not looking outside of that project at all at the moment.
And when is like your plan to complete this project?
3 years is when we refinance. So month 36 roughly is when we refinance, and month 62 I believe is point of sale.
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn, I love how you have like just that
Yeah.
very straightforward, very plain. Like you said, you're mitigating your risk.
We have a really good team put together on that project, and they have created this project plan for us. So like, I didn't create that.
Mhm.
That is the project plan that we're following based off of someone that's done 100 of these.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And have you been down to Florida to see this place? Or?
No.
That's the best thing. But that's the best thing though, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're working from here and doing that in Florida.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll go at some point,
Yeah.
but what am I going to do there? What am I going to do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to,
It's triple. It's like, oh yeah, that looks good. Haha. Yeah, I get what you're.
they're going to be like, get the fuck out of the
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
And I'm going to be going with my shoes. Like,
They're
oh, my shoes are muddy. And like,
yeah.
I'm just going to be in the way. Like, it's not valuable. But even like our facility in Illinois, I've never been there. Our facility in Ottawa, I've been there twice for content.
Yeah.
The one in Perry Sound, we've been there quite a few times. That was our first one. We were pretty excited about it.
Yeah. It's your baby.
Yeah, like it was, and that one's refied now and everything like that. As well, that was our first facility to refinance. But you know, you don't have to be there. And like one of the biggest mindset shifts before moving to anything bigger, just even on the smaller stuff, was that I could buy out of my city, because I didn't want to do that. I was scared to do that before. But someone asked me, when the plumber comes to your house and they come and they're fixing the thing, what do you do?
Go do my own thing. Let them do their own thing.
Are you going to watch them? Are you going to help them? You're not.
Really not.
No. What can you do? You're like they usually
Unless
hate
you're
it.
like Karen. And
Yeah,
you're
but they usually hate it too. If you're over there,
they
like
hate that
they
shit, yeah.
hate it because then they work slower. They're sweating.
So why not far away?
That's very true.
It's a mindset, right? A lot of it's mindset, right?
Because as soon as someone said that to me, I was like, oh shit, like, yeah, what am I going to do? Why do I need to be there? So now, like, it's pretty standard. All my contractors know when you walk in, take pictures of what's broken as before pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Fix your shit, take pictures of what's fixed after, send it to me. Send me the invoice. You get paid next day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need to be there anymore.
Yeah.
What would you say is your responsibility? You clearly have a team. You've been able to delegate so many things. What are you in charge of?
The hardest problems, stuff that the team can't solve, and stuff that I don't yet feel comfortable trusting to other people.
Which would be like what, for example?
Banking stuff.
Fair.
Stuff with my personal information for like lawyers, mortgage brokers, that type of stuff. I don't delegate any of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like sharing of that type of information. So most of my focus now is making sure that I can raise money properly for my Port Charlotte deal. And I want to emphasize properly because there's a lot of people raising money in like illegal ways that the SEC and OSC would love to talk to them about.
Yeah, they'll burn them down quick.
And then making sure I'm managing people's money properly. Because like it's one thing to build this online presence and have people trust you and get their money, but now you have to manage it properly as well. And for people that haven't had large sums of money and all of a sudden do, there's a strong urge for those types of people to spend it on stupid shit.
Oh, yeah.
So, I like to post or engage with my investors as frequently as possible to show them this is what I'm working on. Your money's not being spent on something stupid.
Yeah.
It's being put to work like I told you it would be.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what your focus is like just making sure that the money's being used properly and making sure that like, are you like deal hunting too, or deals coming to you? Or?
No deal hunting. Like, again, it's just focusing on this project, but I obviously the rest of my portfolio is still there and there's still problems that need to be solved sometimes. But most of my focus right now is making sure this deal goes well, making sure that my older deals can either refi or sale or whatever. And just making sure the money is working like any good employee should be.
Yeah. And how often do you do a portfolio review, and when do you know it's time to like let go of assets?
When it feels right. Like for some people there's strict math, like a return on equity or return on income, or cash flow analysis or something like that. For me, it's as soon as that doesn't fit what I want to do anymore. For example, that the first property I ever bought, that was the rental property in February 18th, 2020. That's the one I sold to buy the apartment building. It was a duplex conversion.
Yeah.
And same thing, like get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, because it just doesn't fit what I want to do. It doesn't fit who I am anymore. I'm not the duplex guy anymore. I'm not the crack house guy anymore. Like that, like I did all that, but now I need this. So why do I want this still?
Yeah.
That type of thing. So it's not as strict of an analysis in that sense. Granted, nothing is selling or moving right now in our market currently, but I'm hoping that in the next little bit, the rate cut of 0.25 basis points is not big, but it gets people excited and, kind of moving. I think the monetary amount on a mortgage, like you say $15 on $100,000, every $100,000.
Yeah. So it's not really like a cheer celebration. It's more of like,
but it's the mindset of it. Like of change in the right direction.
James, are you willing to share with everyone how many years young you are and this successful?
That's flattering. I'm 33, but there's other guys doing exactly what I'm doing, and I've copied a lot of their stuff. So
no, that's awesome. And would you say that like the little kid version of you, would you be proud of the man you are today, and why?
Yeah. Yes. And I say it kind of like that because I don't think that guy would even know who this guy is.
So yeah,
You know, like that guy didn't have the dream or the vision or the anything to be who this guy is, because that guy didn't know that this existed. And the only reason that I know that this exists is because of these random conferences or interactions or anything like that. So I don't even think that you know, the 8 or 10-year-old me would believe that I am him. For that reason. What his realm of possibilities was, like, I would be lying to him. Like, that's what he would think.
Yeah.
You know, like, so and I don't mean to come across as whatever that's coming across as, but that kid had a very small bubble of what was real. And the only way that, you know, our kids can think bigger is we have to expose them to it.
Yeah.
We have to show them that all these other crazy things are possible.
Yeah.
You did even mention last time when like you did your speech, you're like, I got too much praise from Alfonso, you even said. Like,
Yeah,
that's too
I mean,
much. It's too much. It's too much. But like, I think it's just because you don't even like, it goes back to what you said right there. Like the little you doesn't still believe that
yeah,
you're this
but,
guy. But
I mean, it doesn't help though. Like I feel it's there's a time for praise maybe, but and coming from Alfonso means a lot. I'll give you that right now. Like he changed my life in a big way. But too much praise means you've achieved something and you're not doing anything. So I try to shut it down because like I don't want to get inflated. I don't want to get lazy. I don't want to get whatever, you know. It's easy to sit here and, you know, it's generous of you guys to say that to me, but it's not helpful. Like what a true friend, that's the guy that'll tell you, you know, you're being lazy, you're being shitty, you're being whatever. It's relatively easy and cheap in a sense to say to someone, you know, great job. But it's hard. It's a hard conversation to say to someone, you could have done better, or you know,
job's not done.
The job's not done yet. And that's why, like, that's my inner kind of conversation when coming from Alfonso's different. When we're talking one-on-one, he's like, you did great, man. I was like, thank you. You know, I appreciate that. Thanks for helping me. That was fantastic. I'm super proud of myself, everything like that. But in front of a group of people and you know, like, it's kind of performative and stuff. It's just like, you know, that's not the helpful stuff.
Yeah.
That's where it's coming from.
What's crazy, because like I feel like in like, you know, like when you're like 40 or 50, you're gonna look back at this person you are right now and you're gonna be like, yeah, that guy, he doesn't know the guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but I mean, like, what was 5 years ago guy?
Yeah.
You know, that guy, he just moved out of his, you know, duplex conversion. He didn't know what a corporation was still. Had a duplex, maybe a couple triplexes.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. I was going to buy one property a year for the next 10 years. That's who that guy was.
Yeah.
But that guy meeting me would know who I am. But the 10-year-old me, he wouldn't even, like, that would be a lie to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's amazing, bro. And I think that's very like inspiring too, because it just goes to show, like you said, you have no like limit to what you can do. Like that doesn't exist.
The exercise that you can do sometimes is like you take your goal, then you double it and you double it and you double it, and then all of a sudden you're at some crazy thing that is insane to you. Like that's how I felt when I said yes to this Port Charlotte deal, and how when I said yes to the apartment bill. I felt sick. I felt like vomiting. And then when you start like digging in and you start getting information, and then you realize, oh, okay, it's actually not that bad. It's actually, you know, oh, it's just like 4 things, or it's just like these 10 steps that I need to do, even if it's 50 steps. But as long as they're outlined for you, or like you outline them for yourself, then you don't procrastinate, because you're just like, check. Okay, next, whatever's next. But without that specificity on your task, it's easy to get lost in the sentiment. It's easy to get scared. It's easy to, you know, ignorance breeds fear.
Yeah.
Right. In the same way for anything.
Yeah. It's like experience is the best teacher. That's it. Straight up.
And like once you say yes and you're the type of person to commit to that and make sure that it gets done, you'll just find the answer. Like I remember before I even knew like real estate coaches were a thing, there was like people in London that I knew had stuff, and I would call them and be like, don't hang up on me. I'll pay you whatever you want for this call.
Yeah.
I need 15 minutes. I have 10 questions. And I was like, okay, here we go. I don't want to waste your time. Let's go.
Driven.
And, it took maybe 7 minutes. And I was like, all right, send me your email. I'll e-transfer you.
Wow.
And they're like,
crazy.
no, shut the fuck up. That was no problem.
Yeah.
But I think it came from, this guy is not trying to waste my time. He already did the homework. You want to see him succeed as a lead student and teacher relationship, that type of thing, which was really generous of them. But that's how I got a lot of my information. Initially, it was just calling people and be like, I will pay you literally whatever you want for this phone call. Just please, I have like 3 impossible ungoogleable questions.
Because Google can only take you so far.
Even too, I like how he always comes back to it. Find the questions that Google can't answer.
Yeah, because then you're solving a problem that most people can't solve.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that'll make you the most money.
It's the value.
Yeah.
No, I love that, man.
No, I love it too, man.
Like, I guess, like, is there anything else you want to kind of like let our audience like know, or like, what are you working on? Any plugins or?
Not necessarily, like, unless people want to get involved in the self-storage project in Port Charlotte, Florida. They can DM me on Instagram for that type of detail, or if they just wanted to learn a little bit more about the self-storage world, or even multifamily. I have Airbnbs, coin like laundry and vending machines and that type of stuff. Just on the funny
serial
side.
Literally,
But,
the goat.
Yeah, literally serial entrepreneur.
The goat of storage.
But I don't know. Like I'm open to talking about that type of stuff, and a lot of people have been there for me along the way as well. So I'm happy to share my information.
Yeah, awesome. And we'll make sure to add all your tags and all your information in the show notes and everything. And like, you guys got spoiled
you guys
today.
got lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, like James, like, this was a pleasure talking to you. Like, I even feel like I've learned a lot, like whether or not you think you taught us a lot. Like, it's just like, it's the mindset, and it's just like speaking to someone like you, like, it just really opens up the realm of possibilities for everyone, even the audience listening.
No,
so
I'm glad. Like that is, I think, the biggest gift you can give yourself is being around people that told you something that you didn't even know was possible.
Yeah.
And then you're like, that shitty guy did it. Like, someone's watching right now.
that shitty
guy did it. Like, I can do it.
And even too, is like you said, you figured out what could I be? Teacher. I think you did it right there.
Yeah.
I think like if they don't listen, they don't learn something from that.
And they're wasting their time.
They're wasting their time.
Yeah.
Luckily, you can watch it at 2x on YouTube, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, honestly, like, man, thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure like we would love to have you on like in a future date, whether that be a year or whatever, because like we would love to catch up and see how much like more you've done. You know what I mean? Because I know you're that type of guy to just fucking kill it.
Yeah, even too, something special happens that like nobody knows about. Come here first.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right, brother. Thank you so much. Awesome. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you've listened thus far. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Peace.